This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Disney Plus wants to know, are you ready? For Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts, The New Avengers, now streaming on Disney Plus.
Let's do this.
One of the best Marvel movies of all time is now streaming on Disney Plus.
Hey, you weren't listening to me.
I said Thunderbolts, The New Avengers is now streaming on Disney Plus.
Meet the New Avengers.
That's a cool name.
Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts, The New Avengers, rated PG-13, now streaming on, you guessed it, Disney Plus.
What if the very traits that help you start your business are the exact ones holding you back from scaling it? Most entrepreneurs never see it coming. In the beginning, confidence, willingness to take risks, ability to move fast without overthinking get you off the ground. You don't know what you don't know, that's your superpower. But then something changes. The business grows, complexity increases, suddenly the same instincts that once fueled your success start working against you. Growth slows. No matter how hard you push, you hit a ceiling. Today's conversation is about that moment. Because according to Mike Conrad, a founder who's been in business for over 3 decades, most companies don't fail because the market is too competitive or the product isn't good enough. They fail because the founder never evolves. In this episode, we're breaking down the shift from starting to scaling while your current skill set might be your biggest bottleneck. How to recognize when it's time to shift gears before your business stalls out completely. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like what used to work just isn't working anymore, this episode is going to change the way you think about growth. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Financial Freedom Podcast. Mike Conrad, the reluctant entrepreneur. We're going to be talking about his story. He founded Aqueous Technologies, equipment manufacturing. His podcast, we're going to talk about the skills required to start versus scale business, all of his lessons and journey along the way. Mike, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. It's good to be here.
Briefly introduce yourself and we'll dive into the questions.
Mike Conrad. I started a business in the electronics industry, manufacturing equipment industry, 34 years ago. Despite my best efforts, I haven't managed to kill the business yet. It was quite a journey.
What exactly does your company do? Who does it help serve? What is your client avatar?
We build equipment that's used in the manufacturing of circuit assemblies, circuit boards. You're staring into a camera right now. That camera is filled with circuit assemblies. Our industry builds those. We are one cog in that wheel. We're part of the manufacturing process. To assemble a circuit board, it has to go through numerous processes. We're one of those processes. Our customers are the equipment that we build is not absolutely required as part of the manufacturing process. It's a value-added process. Our equipment takes the customer's circuit assembly, makes it more reliable. Our customers tend to be high reliability, failure is not an option type customer. Military defense, aerospace, medical, high-rel telecommunications, things that if they fail, people die or they're expensive consequences, they are our primary customer base. Although we do a fair amount of consumer business as well. Most of our customers are manufacturers of extremely high reliability, mission-critical products.
To continue the narrative, I found interesting with your background, you call yourself a reluctant entrepreneur. What is the story behind that title and how does it reflect your journey with Aqueous Technologies?
Yeah, I used to work for another equipment manufacturer before I worked for an equipment manufacturer in the same space, not exactly the same type of equipment, but in the same manufacturing space. There was a very specific issue in our industry where a particular chemical that was widely used in our industry was being banned by the world, originally by 11 countries that signed a treaty to ban it, and then eventually by all UN member nation countries. They provided a 10-year phase out of that chemical. So we had a 10-year runway to come up with another chemical or a process that would not use that type of chemical. My employer at the time was not doing financially great. They were selling equipment that was very quickly becoming obsolete. Things change rapidly in the electronics industry, as you can imagine. In fact, they probably changed since you and I started talking a few minutes ago. I had an idea to embrace this ban that was approaching with a different technology that would perform the same function without relying on that offending chemical soon to be banned. They weren't interested in that idea. That's all I could think about. I woke up in the morning thinking about this idea, went to bed at night thinking about this idea. I was definitely obsessed over it. Long story short, I couldn't get them interested in doing it long term. So, like a mature 32-year-old, which I was at that time, decided I'll throw a little tantrum. I will go home, complain to anyone who will listen, including my wife, how unfair life is. This is a great idea and no one wants it. My wife said to me, "Was it a good idea, Mike?" And I'm like, "It's a great idea." She says, "Why don't you just do it yourself?" I decided I'm going to do this myself. Converted my garage into a studio, built a proof of concept prototype, did a bunch of testing. We came to the conclusion that this could be a viable product. Decided to give my notice, left the company, and started Aqueous Technologies, a company that I've owned for the last 34 years. But started out of my garage, eventually worked its way up. We sell on 6 continents. We're successful now. The journey was absolutely wild.
Quick pause here. If this episode is making you rethink how your income is structured, that's intentional. Information doesn't create freedom, structure does. At the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how to diagnose whether you're building leverage or just scaling complexity. Let's get back into it.
When I started the business, I needed 2 skill sets, good technical acumen and business sense. I did not have any business sense. I was aware of that. I got the tech side down, arguably is the hardest one to acquire. How hard could business be? That was an overstatement. I made every mistake any entrepreneur could make. The skills that allowed me to start a company were the exact same skills that were going to ruin my company if I don't change my game. I brought to the table my skills, attributes, as far as business was concerned. Passion, ignorance, arrogance, naivety, ego, poor assessment of risk. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 80% fail by year 15. Horrible odds. I didn't know. I was ignorant. My ego told me these things I brought to the table were perfect ingredients to start my business. I don't recommend it, but that worked for me. The business started growing rapidly. What got us from A to B, my magic wand. Ego, my naivety, a China shop mentality, that's going to get me from B to C. One day, the rules changed. We're now at a different level, new rules. I needed to develop the appropriate skill set for that scale. You adapts. Have you ever driven a manual transmission car? If you're in first gear, the traits, the skills you have are first gear skills. You start your car when the light turns green. You go from 0 to 20 miles an hour pretty quickly. That's all you can do in first gear. You shift to second gear. That'll take you so far. You shift to third, fourth, fifth. The same with skill sets in business. My arrogance, ego, naivety, bravado got me off the line. I've taken my first gear traits as far as I can. Time to shift. New skill sets for second gear. At some point, the business needed more than my skills could provide. I had to learn for the next scale. A lot of businesses fail, not because business is risky, but because the founders fail to scale themselves. Their skill sets fall behind at the rate the business needs to be scaled. 80% of businesses fail because 100% of the founders make the same mistakes. They fail to shift to the appropriate skill set needed at that stage of business growth.
in terms of marketing, you talk about over 3 decades in business, marketing has changed. You go from abandoning conventional marketing strategies for value-added marketing approaches, and expand on that idea for the audience.
For years, we were outrageous, obnoxious advertisers. My business started 4 years before the internet was available. We got our start running print ads in magazines, if you can imagine those days. When the internet came, we started advertising digital banner ads online. Our ads were ferocious. They were pretty close, not quite verbatim, but pretty close to "we are the best, everyone else sucks." We would go to trade shows, get a booth, put magicians in the booth, video games, surfboards, and waterfalls. It was obnoxiously bad looking back. It was a lot of fun. Then certain skill sets stopped working. Our advertising stopped working. We stopped and replaced it with conscious marketing, education-based marketing. I'm going to teach. I started speaking at technical conferences, writing technical papers, hosting webinars, producing live workshops, writing books, booklets on the subject. Eventually, a podcast called Reliability Matters. It's a geeky podcast. Sales exploded. Without trying to sell, I discovered that the best way to sell is stop talking about our product. No one cares. People have a problem. We have a solution. We talk about their problem. We identify, train, educate. Educated people make educated choices. We believe our company is an educated choice. We have not turned back ever since.
Looking back, what are some of the biggest risks you took early on? How did they shape the trajectory? How does failure factor into where you are today?
I hate failure. I love failure. Both are true. Every stupid mistake I made was a learning experience, a change agent to something greater. I try not to fail. If I fail, it's not empty. There's more value in failure than success. You learn from failure. Success, you don't know if you're lucky or because you're skilled. When I fail, I know what caused that. I avoid that. I learn more from it. I enjoy success more than failure. I'm grateful for all my failures. In terms of fear, we make a lot of fear-based decisions when we were a much younger business. I don't criticize any founder making fear-based decisions. Business is scary. You got everything on the line. You've leveraged a lot of risk when you're an entrepreneur. I understand there's a lot of fear-based decisions. One thing we had to learn was to take fear off the table. What would we do if it wasn't scary? Then do this. That's the right decision. Once you know the right decision, even though it's scary, if you can commit that's the right decision, you manifest the solution to the fear. It works every time. Every fear-based decision I made to avoid what scared me made things worse, which is even scarier than had my original fear manifested itself.
What a fantastic way to end the conversation. How can people connect with you and reach out to you?
The two most common places are LinkedIn, Mike Conrad. My personal website, mikeconrad.com, has links to all the other playgrounds I play in.
Thanks so much for coming on, and I really enjoyed talking with you.
Same here. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate the invite. Good job.
Let's zoom out. If you're a physician, founder, or high-income professional, and you feel like you're working harder every year, but not structurally freer, you're not alone. The mistake isn't effort, it's architecture. This show exists to help you convert expertise into scalable leverage, faster and with fewer expensive missteps. Here's the diagnostic I mentioned before. If your income requires your constant presence, if your capital isn't compounding outside your profession, if your highest value talent is doing low value tasks, you don't have a growth problem, you have a leverage design problem. And if you want to fix it with clarity instead of guesswork, I offer a limited number of one-on-one leverage strategy sessions each month. We audit your income model, capital deployment, authority positioning, and structural bottlenecks, and design your highest return move. If you're serious about compressing years into months, the link to apply is below.